Hello everyone and welcome to week 12 presentation preparation. I'm going to talk you through this document, but you need to read it because I'm not going to read everything to you. So last week you made a weekly plan. You created a punch list of to-do items. You circled back through the to-do items from your development conference. Those were meetings that we had 2 weeks ago. And you circled back to your scoping document if you're a developer to make sure that you know what your clients are expecting of you and see how much your site could take care of those things. If you're working on Greenfield Digital, we are now having weekly meetings on Tuesday nights, and you're a part of that. So each one of you has your own project, and you're figuring out what you need to do to get it resolved. Therefore, I can't really give a global report on where each person is at. You all know because we've been checking in, and you know that I am available if you get stuck with anything. By the way, Conan is doing a gallery of themes for Greenfield Digital, and he needs everyone to share a sentence about their theme. There's a forum thread on it, so just go to that forum and answer his question there the way Linda and Megan did. Thank you. Now, this week, so if we were continuing with to complete this project, you would now be working really hard on fixing all of the problems that came up during the alpha testing round that you just finished. People gave you suggestions, and you'd be going through your punch list and fixing all of those things. After you fixed everything, you'd then be scheduling a beta testing with your client, where your client would invite other people that work in the office of the client and maybe some customers, other stakeholders, to see if the site is going to work for them based on what they need to have it do. Then at the end of all of that, you would do a final presentation of the site using a slideshow perhaps, or just touring people through it, and then the client would write you out a check saying, thanks, you did everything that you need to do, that's wonderful. You might have some other work in which you're going to help them with the launch, but this would end the scope of services that you put into your contract. However, in our class, we don't have time to go through all of that. So on the 14th, our in-class meeting, you're going to do a presentation either to the whole class, which would be wonderful, or if you're shy, just to small groups of people, or if you're really shy, you're just going to create a kiosk that does the presentation on its own, in which you either report on your experience in the course, everything that you learned and everything that you did, or you're going to do a mock client presentation where you present to us as if we are the clients and you've just finished the site to us. So let's talk about how that's going to go. By the way, if you do have live clients and you would like my continued support and other people's support for continuing to help them with site transfer and everything else, the CIS 151 Google group is going to stay up and be available for you. And if you log into it, you'll be able to actually read the notices and as well as get them as emails. If you don't want to, you can unsubscribe from it. So let's talk about the E of evaluation, where you evaluate or your clients evaluate the work that you're doing. So portfolio, and I also use the word e-portfolio because it's online. What is a portfolio? Well, it's a time when you collect artifacts, things that you've made, you think about them and you present them to people, and then after you present them, those people or you or everybody reflects on them, and then you make new things and collect them. So it's kind of a little cycle like that. As I see here, there's 5 purposes for a portfolio. One is a cumulative archive, in which you say, I want to see all the things that I've made in the class so that later I can go back to them. A constructing learning portfolio, you're going to reflect on everything and say, what did I learn? So that's a step more than just making a list of them. Social learning is where you share the portfolio with other people in the course, and people talk together about the journey that we all went through. Now that's the first sort of cluster of a portfolio. The second is for getting credit, where let's say you're going to get a license or a certificate or a degree, and you want to show I met the standards that should get me this degree, here's my portfolio of work. And then last, getting chosen, where you have a potential employer who looks at your work and says, this is somebody that I want to hire, or somebody I want to bring into my graduate school. So different purposes for portfolios. You have two choices for next week. One is a course portfolio, which is a cumulative archive of your work. You take each piece, put it together, look at it, share it, talk with other people in the course about it, and you tell your journey for you, for your peers, and a couple of visiting faculty from the department who want to see what this course was like and whether they want to keep it, and if so, how. The other one is a client presentation, and that's the time when you bring the site to the client and show them what it is you made for them and get the money paid to you that is due you. Now, of course, in this course, no money is due you, but if you can convince your clients to hire you on to continue to do work, that's a good incentive for you to make a really good presentation, but also to have a really good site to present. And your sites may not yet be ready to present, so that's why this is a dry run where you're going to present to us as if we are your clients. So you're going to choose which of these you're going to do and how you're going to do it. The course portfolio, that's the first choice. It's cumulative, so you share everything, and I made a slides template to help you go through this. I said, here's the table of contents. Here's the table of contents for the analysis section. First, you'd make a screenshot and a link to your pre-consult form, a screenshot and a link to the merge doc, a screenshot and a link to the scoping document, and then we go to the design section, etc. So you're just going to be filling these slides out. You can design them and make them as pretty as you want to or not, but the main important thing is that the work that you link to is shared, so when other people go and click through on your presentation, they can see it. And you've used both the idea of making screenshots and the idea of linking to actual files. Three modes of doing this. In any slideshow, whether it's PowerPoint or Google Slides, they have this place for slide notes. In Google Slides, it's down here. In PowerPoint, there's a space underneath or to the right of each slide for that. And that's where you write the things that you would say. They can be the actual words, but more likely they are going to be an outline of things that you would say. So your choices when you present your course portfolio is either a kiosk where it stands alone. You just have the slide running on a computer in the lab, and you've printed out all the slide notes. And people just come over, they sit down, they click through the slideshow, and they read the notes, and that's the way it works. You don't have to be there. You're setting it up like an exhibit in a museum. If you do this choice, you're going to have to save the Google Slides as PowerPoint. You go File, Download as PowerPoint, and then you open it up in PowerPoint, because it's only in PowerPoint that you can do File, Print, and when you're printing out, you have the choice of saying Print Notes. And printing notes means you're going to get the slides and their notes. There'll be the slide on the top, the notes on the bottom, and the person can go and move from page to page as they view the slide. Sometimes people will click on the slide to go to the actual website or the actual source document, but they'll use those notes to guide them, and the notes will show up down here. So that's what PowerPoint is needed to do. So if you don't have PowerPoint, that's going to be a hard choice for you. The other next choice is a tour where you're narrating the slideshow to a small group. Now at this point, I'm suggesting that you could do it in present mode, view, present, and move through slide by slide. The problem here is that you need to have your notes to be able to know what to say, or maybe you need to remember them. Now the possibility is to actually present them in this format. You're not going to have animations, it's going to look pretty awful, but you can see the slides that you've written underneath each slide. So two ways to do that. And that's one where you've got 2 or 3 people sitting at your computer with you and you're talking them through it, which is a nice intimate way to present, and that's fine. Now the nicest thing to do is if you're going to present to the entire class, you'll use the projector in the teacher station, and this way after you present, or during the time that you present, depending on how you run it, students can raise their hands and say things, and maybe even conversations can happen in the class about what you learned and how things went. Not all conversations about you personally, but conversations around the course material. And this is my favorite thing, so I hope that at least some of you will do this, and we'll just stop whatever activity is happening in the course and make sure everybody has a chance to present who wants to. So that's the course portfolio presentation choice, choice 1. Choice 2 is a client presentation. Here you're presenting information. You're not using the first person and saying, I did this, I did that. You're saying, here's how the site works, here's what it is, all that kind of stuff. And I've broken this out into a few sections. You do not have to use each of these sections. It all depends on what you are trying to do with your client's site. But I'm going to suggest that first you talk about what it looks like, because that's the thing that the people who you're making the site for will notice first. Then you talk about the architecture, what's in there and how do you get to it. Talk about the functionality, what cool plugins did you install and what do they do. Talk about next steps, what else has to be developed and how are you going to launch the site if you're planning that far in the future. And lastly, client training. They are going to need to know how to edit their pages. So how are they going to find that out? Do they already know it? If you've given a good presentation and then you say, so would you like my help editing your pages? And they say yes, then you can quote them an hourly rate to go down and help them. And that's a way to start working yourself into employment. Again, I don't know what your relationship is with your client, so you're going to have to see if that's going to work. But they should know at this point that you know how to edit pages, and so it's not a problem for them to hire you to teach them how to do that. Now there's a third kind of portfolio. This is not an option for this particular course at this point, but it is something you should think about later, which is to have a professional portfolio where you list all of the projects that you've done and have links to the work and maybe links to testimonials by clients. So that's why this is all in yellow. Something for you to read, something for you to know about, but not necessarily something for you to do. Now we'll go to our assignments. We have 2 goals this week. You're going to work on your site, resolve the alpha testing feedback punch list items, and develop the meeting notes. And I'm going to be actually filling out your forms and giving you punch list items myself by Wednesday, so you should have some work to do there. Also looking at the notes from the development meeting where you had some to-dos that we've been talking about you doing. As I've emailed before, this is a time when if you're stuck on anything, you really should reach out to me and let me help you. Now the second goal is to select an ePortfolio. Which one are you going to do? Tell me how you're going to do it, and then you're going to be developing it. Yeah, you're going to get this message on December 4th, so you're going to have only 10 days, in fact 9 days. Work hard, make your presentations lovely. So your assignments are to complete a portfolio sign-up form, respond to Conan's post where he wants to know why did you pick the theme that you picked. There's some examples of what an answer like that looks like. And finish your site as best you can, and then do as much of your portfolio slideshow as you can, because you'll only have 2 days next week until you have to actually show it. I'm not giving you any grades for the work this week. My focus this week is going to be giving you feedback on your alpha test pages and answering any questions that anybody has, and having meetings with people who want to have meetings to make sure your site is best as it can be. All right, good luck.